Hi everybody, this is Kathleen Hinesley with Exploring Dimensions for All. And this video is going to talk to you about how to release stored emotions and memories in the body. Now, years ago, I had noticed that when I got acupuncture, that I sometimes remembered, like it almost seemed like past lives, like different memories and things. I remember once calling my mom. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. I called my mom in California. I hadn't lived in California in a while. And I said, "Mom, I'm experiencing these past life memories from acupuncture." And she said, "Oh yeah, that's the latest thing. Yeah, acupuncture for past life memory recall." And I was thinking to myself, what? I had never heard of that. But I had kind of heard, just little whisperings of memories being stored in the body. But I hadn't really experimented with it at all or experienced it much beyond my few experiences with acupuncture. And then over the last several days, I've been doing a technique. I don't even quite know the name of it. It's something that is quite complex, but part of it involves pressing on points of your body. And I suppose that acupressure is kind of like that too, only perhaps a little bit stronger. And as this person was pressing these points on my body, I noticed that some of them, certainly not all of them, but some of them brought up memories. And they brought up really unusual memories, like things that were very odd, like maybe, simple things like buying ice cream from an ice cream truck when I was a kid, to maybe how I felt at a dinner table with somebody's parents at one point, to feelings that I had about myself in certain circumstances, like insecurities that I had about not being as creative as people I knew that stemmed from a particular thought on a particular day about somebody else creating a lot of interesting things in their room. So anyhow, I was having all these strange memories, but I just kept on having this person touch me pretty lightly and pretty quickly. And then today I got the idea that I should have her touch me longer and more intensely, a little bit more, I guess, like acupressure, and that I would go ahead and go into these memories and let out some of these feelings somehow. And as I began to experiment with that, I noticed that certainly there were some areas on my body where I had absolutely no emotions stored. But then there were some that were really, really odd. Like one of them that I got in touch with was how I used to feel when I would visit a friend when I was about 10. And her parents were quite a bit wealthier than me, but there was some sense in the household of them not really being happy in their marriage. And I believe that marriage broke up later at some point, but I think what I had to do was basically really feel into the memory, because I couldn't understand why I would be carrying such a thing for 45 years, literally in a spot on my leg. Why would I carry this memory? And it actually was quite deep. It was something about that I thought that people that had more money than me were somehow emotionally more balanced, which is of course rubbish, of course. But I can know that with my mind, but as a child I certainly didn't know that, and it stayed in my subconscious, and whenever I was with them, I felt inferior to them due to my own family's level of wealth, and also like kind of afraid because I could feel the psychological disharmony in their household. So I worked on that, and I worked on that, and I kind of worked on like trying to release that. And it was interesting because I felt a bit compelled to use my hands. So I felt like if I moved my hands around the area, that it would help me to release some of that energy. And I did that. And it seemed to help, and it seemed to release. And I could almost feel like the energy was coming out a little bit. And then the next thing I'm going to say is way more Twilight Zone. So I'm just going to substantiate this a little bit for anybody that's wondering about body memory and if it's been explored scientifically or not. If you look it up on Wikipedia, it actually says something like cellular memory has been proven, but there has been no let's see, cellular memory, there's evidence for cellular memory, but there's no proof of that the body can store memories, or something really confusing like that. And then I looked up different articles and different YouTubes, and I'm going to put one down below this video. The one I'm going to put down below is actually from a really official sounding source. It's the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, and the title of the video is going to be How Trauma Gets Stuck in the Body and How to Work with It with Peter Levine. So what I found online was that there was a lot of discussion about literal trauma, like crime trauma, PTSD type of trauma, things that the body would feel but that your mental self wouldn't necessarily become aware of. But I had really complex memories that I had to feel into in order to release. And so now I'm going to go Twilight Zone on you, okay? So what happened was, one of these memories was actually felt several days before, and I did not know what it was. It was just the strangest thing. It felt like a circular thing with like black dots in it, and I was like, what's this? I don't know. And I just had the person move to another point on my body. Well, this time I went, wait a minute, what's that? What's that? What's that? And I could feel like my mind and my intuitive part, the part of you that knows whether or not to walk around a corner, the part of you that protects you instinctually, the part of you that has a guttural feeling that something may be good or bad or safe or dangerous for you, that part of me. And I put that part of me into that spot on my body as though it were going inside. And what I actually began to remember was images of seeing snakes, frogs, turtles, animals in terrariums, like in glass. My first memory was of a honey beehive behind glass with like honey and steps. And it reminded me of like when humans block the natural flow of things, like when they make a dam or when they have something at a fair and it's really like a life form, like bees, but they've got it like encased. And there was this great sadness in me as a child, and it's like I felt like part of myself would like be in the terrarium with the frog, trying to comfort the frog that it was in the, inside of this like cage or jail or something. And it caused a traumatic memory of a type for me. So as I felt down into this very strange spot on my leg, I actually recalled a time, I don't know how old I was, like 5? Maybe 6, I'm not sure. And I said something to the animals in the terrarium. I said, it's okay. I can be your friend. I can help you. You can come into me and I'll carry you away with me and then you'll be free. There was literally this conversation that I think actually happened with the mind of a child and animals inside a terrarium. So now this is going to get super woo-woo, but I don't really believe in woo-woo. I think it's all real. I think it's all varying levels of reality that we are rediscovering, haven't recently discovered. Some people have discovered and other people have not discovered yet. I think it's all real stuff. So anyhow, I've often been interested in the possibility that illness can be caused by shamanic animals, and I've been able to see like snakes and other types of animals clinging to people who have cancer or like a tumor or something. I've only been able to see this like 3 times, I'd say, like a bit subtle, a bit like in the psychic way. But in this case, I asked the girl to stop touching my leg, and I kind of did like a swimming motion around my own leg to try to kind of free up the energy. And I literally felt like something of the spirit of these terrarium animals had like lodged in my leg. Like I literally like pulled out what I felt were like metaphysical worms, kind of, and I could kind of see them. When I see something like a ghost or a metaphysical animal, I'm seeing solidity around me. I'm seeing the table and the floor and the refrigerator and the door. I'm not seeing color usually. I'm not seeing solidity. It's like I'm seeing a floating cartoon. That's the best I can come up with. But anyhow, I literally like started coaxing these wormy little things out of my body and saying, it's okay, you can come out, you can come out. And the parents, the older ones, you know, literally were just going ahead and going out of my body, no problem. But it was like there were these little baby like larvae that were kind of afraid to come out. I'm like, your parents are outside, it's okay. And I was like communicating with them, and I like was letting them come out. Hang on, I'm gonna touch my phone because sometimes it just like shuts off. Okay, I just did. Okay. So anyway, some of them wanted to stay inside, so I'm gonna work on some of them tomorrow. But what I realized is there are many like thought form things, emotional things that are much less intense than the trauma that we would normally associate with trauma, that may get stuck in our body. Some of my memories were good. I have good memories stuck in my body in different places that are very pleasurable memories that I haven't remembered in decades. And they're sitting like behind my ear or something, right? And I can feel them if somebody presses hard enough. But anyway, in this case, I had literally invited some sort of a bit of a spirit into my leg. And my thinking is that these things can, you know, kind of slowly drain our energy and our health, and they are best off going their own way. And I didn't have any resistance at all from the mommy and the daddy like worms. But the little babies were a bit scared, and some of them went out. I said, hey, your parents are outside. It's okay to go out of my leg. I mean, it's very bizarre to think of speaking to metaphysical animals and these things, but shamans in many parts of the world have been doing these things for thousands of years. And so I've just decided here, you know, probably since my 40s, I'm like 55 now, probably since like my mid-30s to my 40s, I've just decided to let it all hang out and just get into it and not like even stop things, not even worry about if things are too strange sounding or too crazy sounding. So what I would suggest is just to try it. Like for you, it might represent attention. Like if you have a friend press around on different parts of your body for say like a minute and a half at a time, you may or may not feel a pain there. You may or may not feel an emotional thing there or a type of tension there. If you feel something besides somebody pressing your skin, I would recommend that you try and get in touch with the intuitive part of yourself that is like your gut, and try and kind of like reorient it into that spot. Like become very, very conscious of that spot. And try really hard to like see, what is that made of? What is that composed of? Let the visions come to you. Write them down if you need to. Return to them in a few days if you need to. For me, it was quite intense. I got tired. It was like, wow, what is this, you know? But anyway, I wanted to share that with you because I think it's really neat, and I think it's a way of possibly restoring health and releasing old baggage. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Thank you for coming back if you're a returning viewer, and have a wonderful day. And below I will link this video that does talk about trauma getting stuck in the body. There are many reports of this by many body working centers and things. They all have a different take on it. I've never heard of this sensing of shamanic animals inside of your own body before. That's a first for me, but hey, you know what? Cool. Let's do it. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.